There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Rarely going where no one has gone before. Welcome to the Captain's Chair, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast on the Fangirl Zone. I am Redshirt Dave, and joining me on this mission into the unknown is...
I'm Chief Engineer Steve, and today we'll be discussing Episode 6 of Star Trek Lower Deck.
When did you get promoted to Chief Engineer?
I've been Chief Engineer.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out when. Would you go holodeck and get a little lesson?
Yeah. Did my training courses in the holodeck.
Yeah. Got any green girlfriends I should know about? Can't talk about that.
Oh, no. What happens in the holodeck stays in the holodeck.
So what'd you think overall?
I thought it was a good episode. Fletcher confounded me quite a bit. I don't really see that much of a likeness to Barclay, like McMahon had said that it was loosely based on his character.
If I was Barclay, I'd be insulted.
Yeah.
I don't remember endangering the crew with a giant monster that was eating everything in the hallways.
Right. And I do like that Mariner and Boimler were actually on the same page for this episode.
Yeah, they shared a couple looks too.
So that was really nice to see that their friendship now has gotten closer.
Yeah, they referenced how much they annoy each other, but it's okay.
Yeah. Starfleet through and through.
Yeah, at least they got that going for them. The whole Fletcher thing, I was like, yee, good grief.
Yeah.
he was annoying. And I think when we get to our feedback later from Fred, he noticed some of the same things we did.
Yeah.
So, podcast listeners, the name of this episode, episode 6, was Terminal Provocations. Terminal is right.
Yeah.
The lovable but awkward Ensign Fletcher makes work difficult for Mariner and Boimler. Rutherford introduces tending to a holodeck training program he created. That was a little more fun.
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Of course, one of the best scenes of the entire episode was the opening, where we're in the lower deck crew quarters and Boimler is hissing while he puts something away near his bunk.
I like how they'll cup their hands around their face just to make the perfect hiss.
Yeah. Of course, Mariner wants to know what the hell he's doing, and Boimler replies that sometimes he likes to imitate the sounds of the warp engines to soothe himself. Of course.
Just
white noise.
Any mistakes, all you have to do is blame it on Badgie.
Yeah. Now, of course, Mariner's got to say that is not what the Cerritos sounds like. And Boimler says, well, I wasn't doing the Cerritos. I was doing the Enterprise D at Warp 4.
Duh.
So, of course, Fletcher, who we meet in this episode, joins in. It's like, where'd you come from?
I know. I think they ejected moving a little ahead, but I think they ejected the wrong Fletcher out the airlock. Oops.
And he does interpretation, and of course Boimler says, that's not right. You're missing the inverted plasma distributors, which gives it a higher pitch.
Yeah.
So, of course, Mariner has to disagree and do her own rendition. Rutherford does his portrayal of the Voyager, and Tendi also joins in. So you got all of them making these hissing sounds. And Commander Ransom just happens to be walking by and believes something is wrong with all of them. No joke.
Yep. Well, he wasn't wrong there.
No. And he calls security to the lower decks. He pulls out his phaser and demands that they all get on the ground, taking him by surprise.
These guys are pretty quick with their phasers.
Oh, yeah. Boimler tries to explain what they're doing, but Ransom tackles him down. Of course, as this happens, Mariner realizes that Boimler is right, and the Cerritos does have a higher pitch.
Because he squeals like a pig.
Yeah.
Boomer reference. Raise your hand if you heard that.
Awesome scene.
Yeah, it was good. It was funny. So I get the Drukmani standoff. We know anything about Drukmani? Was there any Drukmani?
No.
They look like angry space gorillas
Yes.
with a patch. One of them had to have a patch in his eye. So you could tell they're like pirates.
Oh, yeah.
So, get a little Shaxx action on this. He's starting with a standoff with the Drukmani scavengers. And they're claiming the salvages on Starfleet. It goes ludicrous. He's so over the top. He's got his finger on the button all the time, too.
Yes, he does.
And he says, like, thus far my recommendation of a full assault has been ignored in favor of more diplomatic approach. He hisses. Who does that? Just blast him.
Yeah, a little Worf there.
Yeah, a little bit of Worf. Up in the bridge, the senior officer facing off with the Drukmani scavengers who are determined to get their hands on the scattered contents of a derelict 23rd century Starfleet cargo ship. Did we look that up? Did you look that up?
No.
I did. It's NCC 502.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I saw
It was fully automated with no crew, although, and it's from the original series where it got a reference in an original series game. Yeah, I don't think it was an online game. Yeah, it could have been an online game. It's a Star Trek game.
Right.
Thursday, I thought it said 1502. I was all excited because that would have been the USS Alabama, a light cruiser from the 2280s, but I read it wrong. I'm looking everything up. Oh, that's not it.
Yeah.
Darn, stupid Badgie. So back to Shaxx. His eagerness to shoot something continues to be denied, which is rather sad. What if he has a scar across his face, right?
Yeah.
Think that's self-inflicted? Not in battle. Practiced his phaser in front of a mirror and bounced back and cut him right across the face or something.
Well, I kind of think it was probably in a bar fight.
Yeah. He got so bad in his last ship they promoted him.
Yeah.
Of course, Freeman is determined to hold true to her ideals and stay diplomatic, even though these particular items had that cordiality of Malons combined with the brains of Packlets. After a literal tractor beam tug of war, which I thought was somewhat funny, things go bad when the Drukmani show some cunning by using their beam to start flinging random pieces of debris at the Cerritos. It's a schoolyard.
Yeah.
They're just throwing stuff in. This probably wouldn't be such a big deal if it wasn't for missing SHIELD computer core. They don't know anything about what's happening below decks. Yeah, Shaxx breathes down her neck in another permission to destroy enemy ship request. Freeman's patient is pushed to a level where they would even have Picard boiling hotter than his Earl Grey. J.G. Herder is playing the Drukmani captain. He's pitch perfect as the obnoxious captain. But he's just lucky he wasn't dealing with his more famous character who would have blown him out of the stars in the first minute of this episode. Boom.
Yeah, Martok definitely would not have put up with any of this shenanigans.
Nope. Realizing that she's out of options, Freeman tells Shaxx to target the warp core. He's like a little kid. Woohoo!
Yeah.
He's ecstatic to finally be able to fight, but his happiness turns to dismay when he realizes the ship's weapons are disabled. Kind of remind me of Wrath of Khan. And some guy, he goes, raise our shields. And he goes, they're raising your shields. Yeah. And he goes, they're raising your shields. Raise ours. And he goes, I can't. And he pounds his fists against the arm. Yeah. Oh, so great. Oh, well. Tiana recommends an evacuation of the ship. I'm like, the cat panics.
Yes.
If they only had a scratching post, she could have climbed up and hissed at the top of it. I should send these ideas to them.
Yeah.
But before Freeman can give the order, they notice the Drukmani ship is beginning to break apart. Shaxx cheers and kisses Tiana. Ooh.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Wow, right on the cat lips too.
Yeah.
Wow, but they don't know quite what they did, but they were successful in stopping the Drukmani. Or if we see a little further to that, maybe there'll be some purring action in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, could be.
I just had
pretty surprised that.
I wonder if she's going to rub up against his leg and curl her tail. Oh, man. I gotta stop thinking.
So, like we said before, we meet Fletcher, who seems to be popular and an old Academy pal of Boimler's.
Eesh.
Yeah.
I wonder if Boimler turned out the way he did.
Exactly. Now, it was real hard to figure out where he was coming from because after the warp core imitations.
Yeah. He seemed like a regular person.
Yeah. We see the crew in the mess and he's trying to break the record for chugging
Puree, yeah.
puree.
Which was a funny segue because the captain was just saying, we're Starfleet, my crew will stand there ready, and they're below decks going, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Oh, yeah, they're ready.
Oh, yeah. And Mariner bumps into Tiana, which knocks her down into her nachos face first.
Yeah, nachos. A nacho-eating cat. Let alone that she serves in space, but she likes nachos.
Yeah. And she just tears into Mariner big time.
Yeah, that was a little over the top, too.
Oh, yeah. Threatening to send her to Starbase 80.
Yeah.
Whoa. Everybody around goes, no.
Some guy in the background goes, Starbase 80.
And Fletcher comes to her rescue with a towel so she can get the cheese out of her fur, because apparently a sonic shower doesn't help much when you're talking about cheese.
I don't even want to picture what happens.
No. And then we see them all working on loading isolinear computer cores for the shields. And Mariner and Boimler discuss missing the choo-choo dance event. Huh?
That's better off not knowing what it is.
Oh, yeah, I know. And, of course, they made shirts for it and everything.
I know. Now I want one of those.
Yeah. I bet you we could find one of those online.
Probably.
And Fletcher offers to finish up the work while they attend the concert. And you go, wow, yeah, this guy's kind of a real upstanding Joe here.
Yeah, valued member of the crew.
Yeah, bend over to do anything to help his friend.
Yeah.
Now, after returning from the concert, they find Fletcher knocked out and one of the cores missing. That's not good.
No.
Now, of course, we first decide that it must be Delta Shift.
I know. We probably got to meet him, too.
Oh, yeah, we got to meet him. And there is no love lost between the Beta Shift and the Delta Shift, that's for sure.
Shouldn't you be going to bed?
Yeah. But we find out that a couple of the Delta Shift ensigns were sitting right behind Boimler and Mariner at the concert. So
yeah, I know. Tears in my eyes. Are you there too?
Yeah. Came a choo-choo-choo dance.
Yeah. Brother.
I'm glad we didn't see that.
Yeah, I know. I think we are.
Yeah, we saw some of the crew doing it, and it's like, that doesn't really look like a choo-choo.
I know. It looked like a chain dancer, like they really were doing a train or something.
Exactly.
Choo-choo.
Now, of course, it doesn't take long to figure out that Fletcher's evolving story isn't quite right. There's something fishy going on there.
Where things start to spin out of control.
Yeah, real quickly. Mariner finds the missing core underneath a blanket.
Yeah, good hiding place.
Yeah. Come on, Fletcher. And the reason he took it was in a futile attempt to enhance his own brain.
Yeah, like Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
They had a computer there. You could enhance your own plane. Everyone did it, I guess. That's part of the plot line, to enhance your own smarts. That didn't turn out well either. Spoiler alert.
Didn't. And it was funny because we actually see him working while they're at the concert and he gets phasered. And you go, okay.
That was his fake flashback, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it must have been because he had used that as an excuse.
Yeah, that's all in his head.
And of course, the core comes to light.
Of course it does.
It's got Fletcher's brain scan in it.
Yeah.
And apparently Fletcher had a lot of insecurities and daddy issues as this core just starts absorbing as much as it can.
So weird.
Yes. So the new plan is to get this thing off the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, this is part of their slapstick stuff they've done before. It's just things that spin out of control.
Yeah.
While seemingly the ship and its crew can function normally while everything else is going to hell below decks.
So, of course, Boimler and Mariner are going to have to do this by themselves, as Fletcher has definitely revealed himself as one of those that are useless in a crunch.
Yeah.
And of course, his suggestion is to now blame Q.
Again,
yeah. Who apparently are the 2380s version of blaming the dog.
Yep, dog did it. Q did it. Ate my homework.
So they try to get the core to the transporter, but it's getting way out of control. So the plan B is there's an airlock, and Mariner tosses her favorite tricorder in to get it into the airlock.
Fetch. He goes fetch.
Yeah. Wanted tech, so here you
There
go.
you go. Yeah.
And of course, the core gets spaced and heads straight for the Drukmani ship and starts ripping it apart.
Oh, man. They didn't. I thought they were going to beam the Drukmani out of there.
Right.
Because we see explosion coming out of its starboard side.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes adrift. I thought they were going to beam him aboard.
Yeah.
I guess he just let him die.
Well, they probably beamed him back to the rest of his ship because he separated that small piece from the rest of the ship from the cargo bay.
So weird.
So, of course, the bridge crew comes down to question our lower deckers about missing core and the airlock. And Mariner comes up with the story, which says that it's all Fletcher's idea to stop the Drukmani. And so he gets promoted and transferred to the Titan. Boimler is heartbroken because he wants to work on the Titan.
Yeah, I know. Kind of remind me of 12 Monkeys. Titan.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sure you want to go to the Titan? Don't be so sure.
Of course, we don't get the mention of Commander Riker.
Yeah.
Because he was on the Titan.
Yep.
So we figure that it didn't take long as we see 6 days later, Mariner and Boimler get a transmission from Fletcher stating that he was fired from his position and getting sent back to Earth. Well, he only dumped garbage in the warp core. God.
That's like Back to the Future where you can dump anything into the cooling banana peels.
Now, of course, he asked them to get him a position back on the Cerritos, and they start using the old transmission is getting garbled and ends
Yeah, I like that.
together.
The aerosol can.
Yeah. Greatness. Yeah, and they decide that it's best to keep their enemies as far away as possible. Boimler admits that he'd rather serve with Mariner than Fletcher, and that despite her rule breaking, Mariner is truly Starfleet at heart.
Yeah, I think that's what actually saves these two. I mean, they can be incompetent or crazy, but there's nothing redeeming about Fletcher at all.
No, he was ready to turn on him in a minute.
Jeez.
And Mariner thanks him for the nice compliment and invites him to the captain's yacht as she was able to sign out the keys in Boimler's name. And he chases her in protest as they run out of the room.
So they haven't gone back to that subplot line or narrative where she knows everything and he's suspicious of her. Of course, it's Mom's car.
Yes.
Where did you get that? Okay.
Yeah, you would think that cat's got to come out sooner or later.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it will be the cat. Maybe the cat will let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
There's going to be
Q.
Yeah. So I get Badgie. I don't know what was more obnoxious, Badgie or Fletcher. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. You can see this. You can see this evolve too. First, Badgie's over the top, cute and fun, and that's annoying. And then he gets so psycho that it wants to wear their skin. And he said it twice, I think. Yeah, wear your skin, which is a reference to, what is that? Oh, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeesh. That was, spoiler alert for Silence of the Lambs, but that was super creepy on that movie. So we find out somehow Tendi graduated the academy without finishing spacewalking certifications. Her professor gave her a B and she didn't say anything. Like, what? Probably a clerical error. How do you make clerical errors in the 24th century?
Exactly.
It must have been a glitch, I guess. I'm dealing with my own clerical errors through my company. I mean, computers, hello, press a button, there you go.
Yeah.
But no.
Nope.
So
must have still been using Clipper.
I know. Remind me of my old company. Nope, what do? I'll put it on a piece of paper. So Rutherford takes her to holodeck so Badgie can help with spacewalking through. He's sometimes slow to load a program, which is funny. I mean, who hasn't run into that when they're trying to use their own computer or online program and it's buffering?
Oh, yes.
They're like, oh, come on. I've gotten it up from my desk. Like, well, I think I'll go into the bathroom and find something or get a drink, come back and see if it's loaded. Good grief. So then, of course, the holodeck malfunction and Badgie goes psychotic. He goes from cute to like the leering eyes and looks at people like he's going to kill them.
Yeah.
And malfunction, I mean, all hell's breaking loose up on the bridge, but it keeps the holodeck from shutting down. The safeties are disengaged because that always happens.
Yes.
And they can't change the settings. So Rutherford first tries to get them to a Bajoran marketplace, complete with a mountaintop shrine you have to climb endless amount of steps to get to. And it tires Badgie out. And they create a blizzard to try and freeze Badgie. But it got weird. Once they get to Bajor, he rips somebody's head off.
Yes, and arms and everything. It's like,
oh my
whoa.
God. I'm looking at him like, where's this going? So eventually the ship returns to normal and Tendi and Rutherford are saved and Badgie seemingly has gone back to normal. Or has he?
Yeah.
It's got that little dun-dun-dun moment.
Yeah, that was
well,
creepy.
He's like, I'm always here, but man, that thing he was much worse than Fletcher. He wanted to wear their skin, like I said, twice over.
Yeah, he stabbed Rutherford even.
Yeah, I know. They're punching each other. And I mean, that was gross. That was so weird. And then it gets into the father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
Father-son, and he's holding him. And he still wants to wear his skin. I'm like, man, I don't know if it was really that effective. You know, we've all seen it a million times on TV. And of course, there's the whole Luke, I am your father type of thing. But that guy didn't go further psychotic.
Yeah.
Darth Vader, that is. Wow.
I don't think he could have gone further psychotic, but yeah.
So, you want to get into some Easter eggs?
Let's do
Easter
it.
egg boomer talk, and I got my top 5 jokes we can cover. So, Easter egg. Although most of the holodeck's characters that Ensign Rutherford mentioned appeared in previous holodeck stories, he mentions a couple of characters who were not depicted on the holodeck, such as Cyrano de Bergerac and Ron Hood. Weren't they? Boy, you'd think they would be.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're most likely references to Reginald Barclay performing the role of Cyrano on stage in The Next Generation, The Nth Degree, and Captain Jean-Luc's transformation to Rob Hood by Q in Cupid, which is funny because they had him dressed up in that ridiculous costume too.
Yes.
And in case you forgot, in A Fistful of Datas, Worf, Troy, and Alexander get stuck in an Old West holodeck simulation, gone berserk, and every single character they meet looks like Data.
Great one.
Yeah, it was. And this was the first episode of the series to feature a log entry without any interruptions.
Amazing.
And as we mentioned earlier, Fletcher is transferred to Titan after his undeserved promotion, which is kind of like a real life thing. If you want to get someone out of the department, say, you know what, you should try something else. The Peter principle. I don't mention this in so many words. That's the ship Riker was given captain to at the end of Star Trek Nemesis, which means he's the one who fired Fletcher. I hope they get him on the show.
Yes.
It's funny. I've seen the real Riker on Twitter lately. He's been quite vocal. And speaking of name checking, the evasive numeral the Freeman calls for is Sulu Alpha, which Shax didn't like. He's more panel slamming when he finds out he has to do Sulu Alpha instead of shooting something. And while most of the publicity is focused on Saturday Night Live alumnus Robinson voicing Fletcher, the really cool guest from me was J.G. Hetzler as the captain of the scavenger ship. They gave him an eye patch over his left eye. Hetzler is blind in that eye, and his recurring character as Mogtalk in DS9 lost his left eye as well. So consistency is always a plus.
Yes, it is.
Hope you thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Tendi really hopes that one of the wrecks in the salvage yard is being fought over or has old styles communication, like a clamshell.
Yes.
Such a geek.
Yes.
Also, one of Fletcher's incredibly non-brilliant ideas for how to deal with the out-of-control isolinear core is to let them beat him up so he said Q did it. Like, that's a stupid notion, though. I love the idea that Q is the 24th century equivalent of dog eating your homework.
Yes.
I think Fred mentioned something about that, too.
Yeah.
And we learned this week that Boimler and Mariner, and presumably Rutherford and Tendi, are on the Beta shift. Also, they have a nasty rivalry with Delta shift. This also means that Freeman allows the imbecilic 4-shift rotation that Captain Jellicoe implemented during his brief tenure as captain of the Enterprise D.
Yes.
That was a good one, too.
Yes, it was. Everybody hated Jellicoe.
Yeah, sure. All right, Steve, ready for the top 5 jokes?
Let's do it.
Even though this wasn't my favorite episode, some of this was pretty close. Close. And the number 5 joke that I picked so far is Badgie when he's tired. I'm going to wear your skin. He barely pants it out.
Yeah.
Number 4 is the hissing routine that we got at the beginning.
Yes.
The engine sounds where they're all puckering their faces and cupping their hands. And then Boimler eventually gets sacked because they're all going psh, psh. Number 3, the tractor beam tug of war. That wasn't so much funny as the segue into my crew is ready and he's like sucking down puree.
Yes.
Now, number 2 is the cargo joke. Cargo, it's either cryo frozen princesses or maybe fruit.
Yeah.
Like how his mind goes to cryo frozen princesses right away.
Yeah.
And the number 1 joke, and these were close, was the fight sequence with Delta Shift. And Fletcher's like, you want to dance? I'll pick you up at your mother and father's house. I'm like, what? And then he goes, don't talk about my father. I thought that was the funny one. So you're like, I don't know where they get this. I'll pick you up at your mother and father's house. I laughed out loud. My wife was like, what are you laughing at? Nothing. Never mind.
All right. Well, we do have some feedback. As usual, our friend Fred from the Netherlands has given us some feedback, so let's take a listen.
Hello, Steve and Dave. This is Fred from the Netherlands with some feedback for Star Trek Lower Decks Season 1, Episode 6. It was a hectic episode again, with a lot of references to all kinds of Star Trek universe stuff, like engine sounds of the Enterprise D and Voyager, like holodeck programs with Sherlock Holmes, Robin Hood, Sigmund Freud, Einstein, Da Vinci, Stephen Hawking, etc. And of course the trope with a holodeck program that goes bonkers and all the safety protocols are not in place. Mentioning Q again, I was really expecting that he would pop up now because it was announced in the Star Trek Day. But we obviously have to wait a little bit for another episode. I get the impression that promotion is really a way of getting rid of people, like Freeman promoting her daughter to lieutenant in a way of giving her all kinds of shitty jobs, and that she then would leave, and in this case with Fletcher more or less the same. This also let me realize that the lower decks are not the lowest, but we only see ensigns actually operating here. As you said yourself in the podcast about episode 4, where are the normal crewmen? Or is this just because, as a story option, promotion should be an option? You don't promote a crewman to a lieutenant, for instance. This Fletcher was quite a conflicted person and had quite some contradictions in himself, because on one hand he could be very angry and bossy towards the Delta crew, and he could be very good in communication, as we saw in the restaurant with the doctor, and on the other hand he is completely uncertain of himself, and he was quite a rotten apple in Starfleet's basket. Biggest joke I found was, how does the doctor get cheese out of her fur in a sonic shower? Okay, that was all for now. Greetings, all the best, Fred from the Netherlands.
Fred agreed with us.
Yes. He sure did.
I always appreciate Fred listening to our episodes too.
Yes.
He's paying attention. Attaboy, Fred. Thank you.
Yes, always appreciate your feedback, Fred. And yeah, we didn't like Fletcher either. As 5 minutes into the episode, you think, oh man, this guy's a really good guy. And before the episode's over, he's completely changed his personality. Yeah. So
how the heck did he make it to Starfleet Academy?
Exactly. Well, if Boimler knew him, then maybe he was always sitting close to Boimler so he could check off of him.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was a hectic episode with everything going on with the core coming alive and the salvage and the holodeck, but I think that we're just going to see that from this show. They're going to pack in as much as they can into 22 to 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, at least Boimler wasn't the ultimate foil in this. Usually he's the one that screwed up that has to be rescued, but now in this episode he was part of the fix.
Right, and that was definitely a big plus for me.
Yeah, I like his character better that way.
Yeah, And like I said earlier, I definitely like the way Mariner and Boimler's relationship are now stronger than ever, and they really do seem to be friends now instead of going at each other. Even though I'm sure Mariner is going to continue to pick on him.
Yeah, they'll have to.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on each and every episode this season and looking forward to interacting with you on social media. How can the fans interact with us, Dave?
They can go to www.fangirlzone.com and click on the contact link where you'll find several ways to contact us via email and through social media. On Twitter, he's at @SaliaSteve, and I'm at The Real ID Dave.
Please review and rate us on iTunes. Good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us, as there are a lot of other Star Trek Lower Deck podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and we do hope you're enjoying our podcast. And don't forget to check out all the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
The 7th episode is on September 17th and is titled Much Ado About Boimler. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
so until then.
Like one that Q's going to show up, doesn't it?
Yeah, much ado. Uh-oh, a little Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So until then, remember...
This is Chief Engineer Steve. Phasers locked onto the warp core, Captain. Please let me shoot their warp core. I've been very good this month.
And this is Redshirt Dave. Floating magnet, floating magnet. Ooh, Steve, I think our boots are touching.